you see the world today might change in just a few minutes.
A new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
There's a need for a new world order.
Realizes what I believe is our destiny of success in this new world order.
A new international order, free of the bipolar rivalry of earlier days.
We needed a new world order.
Broadcasting live from the dark and cold dungeons deep beneath the KLAV studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. Prepare yourselves to be taken away into another dimension as we now have control over your thoughts, fears, and perspective of the unexplained world you dare not speak of. With your hosts, Lindsay Knight and Michael Knight. Ladies and gentlemen, we now open the gates to the paranormal and beyond.
Broadcasting live from the KLAV studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, this is the Paranormal and Beyond. The term New World Order, or the NWO, refers to the emergence of a totalitarian one-world government with the sole agenda of controlling the world and everything in it by an extremely powerful, influential group of individuals of the highest echelons, which include many of the world's wealthiest people, top political leaders, and corporate elites, as well as members of the so-called black nobility dominated by the British Crown, whose goal is nothing more than to create a one-world fascist government. Whether you choose to believe that such a secretive power exists, the chokehold upon our freedom is visibly clear today within our society. In a moment, producer of the film NWO, Secret Societies and Biblical Prophecy, Leonard Ulrich is back again with us on the program to take us through the deception regarding the elusive Illuminati. And that's all right here when we return on the Talk of Las Vegas, KLAV 1230 AM.
Your ticket to the unknown is at Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, hauntings, mysterious places, and more can be found at Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com. Knights with a K, Paranormal Research Society.com. Based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, Knights Paranormal Research Society is owned and operated by the renowned brother and sister team of Michael and Lindsay Knight. Seeing is believing. And at Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com, you're going to believe. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight, for the Paranormal and Beyond. Join host Michael Knight and Lindsay Knight as they investigate the unexplained and most controversial mysteries of the world. The Paranormal and Beyond, where the paranormal lives on and conspiracies exposed. The Paranormal and Beyond, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight. Brought to you by Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com. This is the Paranormal and Beyond, and it's your show. Call us at 731-1230. Here again, Michael Knight and Lindsay Knight.
Welcome back to another brand new and mind-blowing edition of the Paranormal Beyond. But first, be sure to check us out at Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com, where you can log on and catch up to all the past shows by simply logging on. Once again, that's Knight's Paranormal Research Society.com. Get started in acting by logging on to, once again, Hollywood-bound actingacademy.com, the best in Las Vegas to kickstart your acting career. Once again, that's Hollywood-bound actingacademy.com. Special shout out to all those listening online through the KLAV1230am.com website, and all those driving around in the Vegas Valley listening to us on your stereos. Thank you very much. All right, we got a great show for you today because once again, our good friend is back and he's going to be talking about the New World Order, biblical prophecies, and the Illuminati. But first, let's get into the news.
Topping the news once again, my name is Lindsay and I am here bringing you all the strange and bizarre news going on around the globe. A Colorado cleaning crew ran across a macabre discovery when they found an occult altar with a skull, mask with a black hood, candles, and a machete, along with skulls, chains, bones from a goat and other animals. The most gruesome of the discoveries were what is to believe to be human bones, including a partial skull. Up to 20 bones are being investigated for DNA to confirm. According to a report by Westward, neighbors describe the woman who lived there as a Christian, and the items in the shed are suspected of having belonged to her now deceased husband, who reportedly left the country in 1998. For the last 15 years, his wife apparently either hadn't known the items were there or left them there completely alone, because when they were discovered, most were covered in thick dust. The two split up over a decade ago, and the altar wasn't discovered until a realtor commissioned a cleaning crew so that the house could be put up for sale. In other news, meet Boomer the dog, a canine stuck in a human body. Roll over and shake paws with Boomer the dog, a man with a canine soul who often roams the streets of Pittsburgh in a large dog costume, barking at every passing car and digging holes in the backyard. Boomer takes his persona very seriously and wishes everyone would treat him like a real dog. Born Gary Matthews, Boomer is now a 50-something unemployed computer technician who lives by himself. He wears ears made from his long hair and a collar with a dog tag with his adopted name, Boomer the dog. He rarely dresses as a human, as he loves wearing his full-size paper dog costume and getting on all fours. He eats dog food with his snout from a special bowl on the floor, barks, chases cars, and digs for bones in the backyard like any other canine would. The guy even sleeps in his own indoor doghouse, which according to him is much more comfortable than a human bed. Boomer, who resides in Pennsylvania, adopted his canine persona after watching the NBC hit show Here's Boomer when he was only a child. The popular TV series was about a mixed breed stray called Boomer who travels around helping other dogs in trouble. This idea appealed to Matthews, and soon his fascination with dogs in general, as with the star of the show, took a life of its own. Reporting the news for the Paranormal and Beyond, this is Lindsay Knight.
All right, no wonder that guy is unemployed. What do you do when you're unemployed? Become a dog. That's weird.
The most macabre thing for me is that he eats dog food from a bowl.
Okay, I seen the video on this so-called...
It's insane. You got to watch the video.
Yeah, the so-called man dog actually wears a costume and crawls and plays fetch with himself, and it's just weird. And then he goes to, let's say, PetSmart, where dogs play, and they let him in his costume play with the dogs, but not as like a puppeteer, playing with the dogs. Actually, because he thinks he is a dog.
One more thing. What's even more bizarre is that he's actually riding in the back seat of a car and he's barking outside at other cars. Yeah. It's so strange. You have to see this video.
And looking out the window like a dog does, and you think we're crazy. But here we go. Let's get into the main topic of our show. Our special guest, Leonard Ulrich, received his Bachelor's of Education degree in 1991, and also in 1992 topped it off, earning his BA degree in arts, pushing his learning capacity to the limits. Leonard also acquires a double major in Western history and was also a certified teacher, teaching for 7 years. In July of 2005, during a 3-day mentally violent period in his life, Leonard became fully aware of the New World Order and knew his skills as a teacher, amateur historian, prophecy enthusiast, technician, and builder had to be put to good use. For the past 7 years to the present day, Leonard's extensive research and knowledge into the Illuminati is nothing short of remarkable. This has resulted in a film produced by Leonard himself entitled NWO Secret Societies and Biblical Prophecy, which can be seen on Leonard's YouTube channel and is by far ranked as the most controversial documentary about the New World Order that has ever been released. The Paranormal Beyond would like to welcome back again to the program our good friend and special guest, Leonard Ulrich. How you doing, Leonard?
I'm doing great, Michael. Lindsay, greetings from Winnipeg, Manitoba, where last night it got down to minus 40.
Wow. Really, really cold.
Oh, yeah. But we can handle it.
Oh, yes. So, what got you into this whole New World Order and your research into this?
Well, as a former history teacher, trained amateur historian, I was always interested in the past. As a Christian who reads the Bible, I was always interested in Bible prophecy. And no one ever told me, until I had to find it out for myself, that society is organized. There's a power structure behind it. And even though we are given the illusion that we're free, we're not really free. There are people, and there have always been people, who have tried to control the global situation for themselves. And I had to discover this the hard way. No one ever taught me this. I just literally bumped into it.
So what would you say the whole New World Order actually is, and what are their agenda?
I would say the New World Order is about control. Control of information, control of finances, the creation of wars and rumors of wars for select groups' own benefit at our expense.
Okay, well, we have the government, and, to a lot of people, they think that that's already, they're in control of everything right now, but there is a hierarchy or a higher power that's pretty much in control, which is what we're going to talk about, which is what you're saying is possibly the Illuminati.
That's right. The core of all this is absolutely satanic, not because I say so, but because the people involved say so. In my film, which now has 250,000 views and is getting thousands of views a day now, I have quote after quote after quote of major historical figures who are all talking about Lucifer. I'm not saying this. They are. So not only do we have people who want to steer global situations to their own benefit, they're also talking about doing so on behalf of Lucifer.
I've watched your film, and it's very compelling, and a lot of compelling facts also that's on there. I mean, when did the Illuminati, basically, how did they come about and how did they start?
Well, the Illuminati were started officially on May 1st, 1776, in Bavaria, by a renegade Catholic professor named Adam Weishaupt. Now, contrary to a lot of opinions out there, there's much more disinformation about the Illuminati than there is actual solid information. Adam Weishaupt was not a Jesuit and was not a Jew. He just happened to be a renegade Catholic professor. And he became a renegade professor because his father was the rector at Ingolstadt University, and he came across a lot of subversive books. And Adam Weishaupt's parents died when Adam was young. So all Adam did in his free time was read a bunch of banned and occult books. And that is where Adam Weishaupt got the knowledge he needed to start up a plot within Freemasonry about literally controlling the world.
But this actually dates back further to, I remember you in the video you were talking about how the Sumerians and the Egyptians and how everything jumbled into the Illuminati from, if you want to go back to Freemasonry, and was it the Jacobis or the Rosicrucians, I believe,
Well, basically,
started it, right?
what she's trying to say is, does this go back how the religion at one point was pure, but they took it in a whole different way of the whole Jewish religion?
Absolutely. Going all the way back, let's go back to Samaria, Egypt, and Babylon. What you've got is a tiny elite who were worshipped as gods or as intermediaries between the population and the gods. And what the elite discovered is that if they had a core of knowledge which they kept to themselves and didn't share with the general public, then they could literally use that knowledge at the population's expense. For example, if you know when the next solar eclipse is going to occur and others around you don't, then what you can do to the public is say, you know what, you better sacrifice, let's say, your firstborn sons to us as gods, because we'll threaten to darken the sun. And you actually do that knowing full well when the next solar eclipse is going to occur, then people are going to see with their own eyes the illusion of a small group being able to darken the sun, and they're literally going to have the fear of God put into them, and the population is going to do whatever you say because you know something that the population doesn't.
Fascinating.
So that level of keeping knowledge to yourself and deceit and control started at least 5,000 years ago and got carried up through one society after another until May 1st, 1776, Adam Weishaupt comes along, who's an incredibly smart man. I'd call him an evil genius. And all he did for 2 decades was read occult books, which his uncle, of course, at the university level banned, and Adam read. So this guy was literally steeped into the occult, and he took it literally one step further by establishing a secret society within the secret society of Freemasonry. So you got a secret society within a secret society, which is why it's almost impossible to crack.
Wow. We actually have a phone call, and I believe the question is probably for you.
Well, hey guys, what's up? This is a fan of yours, Randy, and Lindsay, we love you. We are all here to root you on. We love you, babe. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for asking. And you have a question?
I do. I'm just wondering, I mean, the Illuminati is actually sort of a conspiracy theory, right? So if everybody has the ability to think what they want to, and it's a free society to think whatever you want, I'm just curious, what do you guys think?
Leonard?
Well, you have the illusion of freedom. I'll give you one piece of evidence which becomes so obvious that it's amazing how long the wool's been pulled over our eyes. In 1918, almost 100 years ago, a private group of bankers established the Federal Reserve. They printed up pieces of paper which were the substitute for gold and silver, which would have been considered money for 5,000 years. And you and I and everyone else has been working for at least 100 years in the United States for pieces of paper that get printed up out of thin air with interest and cost the bankers absolutely nothing. So what you consider money is really an illusion, and it's been going on for 100 years.
Wow, that's a fascinating theory. Randy, I want to just say thank you for calling in, and thank you for that question. And Leonard, that was a great answer.
So, Leonard, where does the Illuminati stand today? I know it affects us all, but they're still working their plan, I should say.
Absolutely. Now, here's the key. The Illuminati is a philosophy, just like Christianity is a philosophy. It's a way of life. Once you subscribe to the philosophy, you're going to practice what you preach, whether it's for good or for evil. So as a philosophy, as an idea, you can't kill it. you can pass the idea on from one generation to the other. For example, as a Christian, I never knew any of the original disciples, but I subscribed to their philosophy. Well, it's the same thing with the Illuminati. The Illuminati were a relatively small group, and even though the Illuminati were discovered in Bavaria a few years after they were founded by Adam Weishaupt, and they were driven underground by the German government, that philosophy spread. And even though the Illuminati were kicked out of Germany, the Illuminati philosophy popped up in France and kicked off the French Revolution. And then it went from France and other European nations to America. And it found a welcome home in America because American society in the 1770s was a growing, dynamic, vibrant society. For the first time ever, you had a major nation that was free of control from a theocracy and from a monarchy. So that really spread freedom in the United States, but that freedom was taken advantage of by the Illuminati. And even your first president, George Washington, in his own handwriting in the National Archives, talked about the Illuminati taking over the United States.
Wow.
That's fascinating. We have another caller for you. Mark, are you on?
Hey, Michael, Lindsay, it's Mark. I hope you enjoyed my package I sent you last time.
Oh,
yes, we did. Thank you so much for sending us your fan mail. And you know what? We actually are...
We're actually working on that show and getting Brother Michael Diamond on the program for you. So what's your question for Leonard?
Okay, Leonard, throughout your research, have you ever heard of one of the bigwigs in Freemasonry by the name of Albert Pike and his literary masterwork, Morals and Dogma, where he talked about the 3 world wars? And I mean, of course, Leonard, the first World War I, remember, we got the League of Nations, the communists would be brought to power, the czars would be overthrown in Russia. World War II, we would expand between the fascists and the communists and such. And then World War III, get this, we'll get Islam, the Christians, and the Zionists and the Jews to duke it out. And then when they're done, basically exhausted, people will become so disheartened with the religions that they'll welcome in the age of Lucifer, the New World Order.
Yes, thank you so much for calling, because you hit the nail right on the head of a popular myth. And I have to burst our bubble here and say that that letter is a myth. Yes, Albert Pike wrote Morals and Dogma. Yes, Albert Pike talked about Lucifer. But no, Albert Pike did not, and I repeat, did not have a vision for 3 world wars. And this is perhaps the most popular myth that exists out there on the internet. Albert Pike didn't have exactly the gift of prophecy. He talked about Lucifer in Morals and Dogma, but he never laid out a plan for 3 world wars. That myth was created about 100 years ago by a man by the name of Leo Taxil. And what he did was popularize himself by creating fanciful tales, usually sold to Christians, about, there's going to be a plan for 3 world wars and we're going to consolidate power under Lucifer. However, the best myths contain the most amount of fact, but they're packaged in such a way as to get people to believe a lie. So, yes, right now, Islam and the Judeo-Christian world are being pitted against each other, but no, Morals and Dogma and Albert Pike never wrote about it.
Thanks for your call, Mark. That was a very great question.
Leonard, I actually have a question for you. Can you at least give me some of the names of some of the hierarchy that are so popular that were in the Illuminati or the Freemasonry who were in the secret society, that names that we know of that we wouldn't even imagine that would be in this society in itself?
Do you mean today or back then?
Even back then, like we have the founder of the KKK, for instance. I couldn't even believe that he was a part of the Illuminati.
Yes, Albert Pike founded the KKK. The KKK stands for the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, is a reference to the Golden Circle in Greek language. And basically, at the time of the American Civil War, the Rothschilds tried to take over America because they saw that America was fast becoming the world's most powerful nation. And so what they did was the Rothschilds deliberately pitted the North against the South, especially considering that you had French and British troops thrown into the mix like vultures, just ready to feast on the carcass of what they thought would be a dead America. And they tried to manipulate America's demise by flooding the currency, which is a problem that we're seeing in the world today. So even though the Rothschilds tried to kill America by some miracle, I think, Lincoln came up with a brilliant solution about creating money that was later going to be backed by gold. And he managed to steer clear of the loan shark interest rates offered to Lincoln on behalf of the Rothschild bankers.
But that would be the greenbacks, correct?
That's right.
Now,
that's right. Lincoln's greenbacks were created like the Federal Reserve's banknotes are today. However, Lincoln said that they would be backed eventually by gold.
Now, if you're talking about Lincoln during this time, now, of course, there was a situation with the slavery that he was trying to, of course, accomplish and fix. Now, would that have been the secondary problem? Because, of course, money would be the main focus for this whole situation. And now, John Wilkes Booth, wasn't he a part of the society as well, as far as like the golden coin?
Absolutely. You yourself said it the absolute best, Lindsay. Money was the primary problem, and racism was the secondary problem used as a cover for the first problem. Because Lincoln, of course, with the Emancipation Proclamation, he abolished slavery. And then 5 days later, or after the South surrendered, John Wilkes Booth, a member of the Knights of the Golden Circle, shot Lincoln. So the Civil War was over, Lincoln abolished slavery, and then Lincoln gets shot by a member of the Knights of the Golden Circle which was headed up by Albert Pike.
Well, it looks like the main focus here is all about who controls the money, because the minute you start printing your own money, you don't have a bright future in the world.
Exactly, and that, my friends, is exactly why Saddam Hussein had to be taken out of the equation by the United States. Saddam Hussein was starting to sell oil in euros. The United States couldn't handle that. Just as the Rothschild bankers back during the American Civil War were trying to apply loan sharking interest rates to America, and were using British, French, and even Mexican troops to try to break up the United States for the Rothschilds' benefit, the central bankers which control the United States today and all but 5 countries on planet Earth didn't like it when Saddam Hussein started selling oil in euros and not U.S. dollar bills. So that's exactly why Saddam Hussein had to be taken out of the equation. It was an absolute lie that Saddam Hussein had something to do with 9/11, which, in my opinion, is another giant lie. Saddam Hussein is on record as having nothing to do with 9/11, and even if you don't believe him, you can always go to YouTube and type in President Bush, Saddam Hussein, 9/11, where a reporter in the White House press gallery in about 2007, I believe, asks President Bush straight out, so what did Saddam Hussein have to do with 9/11? And President Bush, in his own words, says, nothing. Excuse me? I thought that's what the war on terror was all about. I thought Saddam Hussein was harboring members of Al-Qaeda, which is actually members of Al-Qaeda, and I thought that was responsible for 9/11. And no, it's not. So just like the American Civil War, you have a cover story for financial tensions that were the real cause of the American Civil War and are the real cause of the war on terror today. Let's wind the clock back and then go to the present, and I'll wind up a great question in about 1 minute. The Illuminati wanted absolute control. So they wanted to destroy all government, all private property, the traditional family, and all religion. They literally acted as intellectual farmers. And the first thing a farmer does when he looks at a field that hasn't been tilled before is literally rip up the existing structure. You plow it, you disc it, you harrow it, and then you put in your own crop. Well, that's exactly what's happening or has happened for the past 230 years or so with one country after the other. Those who follow the Illuminati philosophy and never were members of the original Illuminati love to invade countries under the pretext of war and destroy all existing structures, social, economic, you name it. And education is a primary target because in order to pull off these operations, the general public has to be convinced that what is happening to them is in their own best interest when it's not. For example, Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Well, that is now known as an absolute lie. But we needed to believe that. We needed to be educated falsely in order to justify the war on terror in our minds. And the whole educational system has been torn up, just like a farmer tears up a field in order to plant a crop. And we get told how to shop for the best loan, using the lowest possible interest rates, but we don't get told how to balance a checkbook. And as a former teacher, I think that's such a joke. There's so much that we're not told or are deliberately mistold by a small elite which has the ability to, by its sheer status, make fiction into facts, and then teachers simply repeat what they've been told. The best book on that subject is The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America by Sharda Thompson Iserbit, who was the Assistant Secretary of Education under Ronald Reagan. And she discovered truckloads, literal truckloads of documents saying that we are deliberately dumbing down the educational system in America to make people more controllable. And the same thing is going on today.
Wow, that's I believe that. I see how the countries all around are not keeping up with the schools per se. You see that teachers are getting paid less, and education is just being forgotten, and people are really getting their education from TV and the media itself, which, from my understanding, is the media also controlled by higher powers on what they can promote on TV and what they can show to the public?
In a word, absolutely, because education is now not done in the classroom, it's done in the living room, and the big screen TV is your teacher. However, there are corporate interests which are following the Illuminati philosophy and are telling you things which clearly aren't true. For example, 2 weeks ago on a Canadian channel, a reporter is interviewed and is asked about the value of gold and how gold dropped down in value over the past couple of weeks. And she, in her infinite wisdom, looks into the camera lens and says, well, gold is dropping in value because it's not backed by anything. It's not backed by any particular government. People are discovering this. And so, the price of gold is going down because people have lost confidence in it. Now, either she's lying or she's completely ignorant. And to suggest that gold isn't backed by anything is a lie, because let me tell you, gold is backed by gold. Paper is backed by paper. What do you think is harder to produce?
That would be gold.
That would be gold. That's right. That is exactly why The price of gold keeps going up and up and up. And in a couple of weeks' time, 4 weeks or less, President Obama is going to raise your debt ceiling by about another $1.2 trillion. And I'm just going to see the value of gold keep going up. Gold, metal is money, and cash is trash. Everyone thinks that pieces of paper are money. It's not. It's the greatest con game ever, and no one in the educational system will tell you that. Well, first of all, everyone can't have it because there's a relatively finite supply, which is exactly why the value of gold keeps going up and up and up. You see, money has to be portable, it has to be divisible, and it has to have a store of value. And that's not what's going on with any paper currency. Politicians have two basic choices. Either they can keep printing money out of thin air. Most money in the world is actually digital dollars. Or they can introduce austerity programs and to pay for all the social programs which we've been slowly being increasingly dependent on. Well, and here's the funny thing. The social programs aren't the problem. It's the banksters that are the problem.
Absolutely.
They've created huge hundreds of trillions of dollars of debt out of thin air, which never costs them anything. They sell it to us, and then when we can't pay it, and the banksters know full well we can't pay it, they just foot the bill to the government, which bails them out. So that which costs the banksters nothing is costing us everything. You're working for them.
Well, first of all, we can't keep printing money. Because money will be worthless if we keep printing money. So that's not the way to go. Do you think we're actually headed into a world of socialism or communism in this country alone?
You already are.
Well, there you go.
Let's put it this way. China is the model. Let's look at China for a second. What you've got in China is hyper-capitalism within communism.
Right.
It's brilliant. So that's why you've got 1 million people working at the Foxconn factory to make products for Apple and Sony, Toshiba, Samsung. I could go on and on. And many people in that factory are threatening to commit suicide because they live in dormitories and they work 14 to 16-hour work days for 6 days a week, and they're literally killing themselves working. So they might as well kill themselves now, as far as they're concerned. And so while we enjoy all these trinkets and toys made from communist China, we don't understand that the very thing that we're working for is also being devalued. It's like a train wreck in slow motion. Because it's happening in slow motion, you're not really feeling the effects. But let me throw one fact at you. The average single-income family in 1971 had more disposable money than the average dual-income family does in 2011.
That is so true. It looks like, how is the United States going to pay its debt off? It looks like what I see from what's going on with the world, or per se the United States itself, is that nothing's getting better at this point, and I don't think it will get better. We're so far in debt, and everybody is just getting ignorant, is what I see. So, Leonard, what's in store in the future for this country?
Well, a certain infamous historical figure named Lenin said it the best. The best way to destroy a country is to destroy its currency. And that is exactly what is happening to the U.S. dollar. What's ironic right now is that the U.S. dollar looks artificially good because the euro is so bad. That is the only thing propping up the U.S. dollar at this point. Now, the euro is going to go down first, but it's going to take only weeks, not months, but weeks, until all that capital flees Europe, tries to go to the United States, and discovers that there's nothing there. It's like a rotten piece of wood. You can think you can put a nail or a screw into it, but it won't hold. So I I would suggest that there is about a 70% chance, in my opinion, this is not fact, it's just opinion, that there will be a bank holiday in the next year or two. That's not a time to, relax in the sun. What that means is you're going to wake up one day and you're going to have the same amount of money in your bank account, but it's going to buy, let's say, 40% less than what it did the day before. And everyone suddenly is going to wake up. And I fear for that day. Because even though our grandparents and great-grandparents in the past faced challenges greater than what we will face, we have become so lazy in our 21st century, 24/7, ultra-convenient society that not being able to get a McBurger for the same price one day as before is going to seem like an insurmountable crisis. So the social impacts of the financial devaluation of America and the rest of the world is going to create a social crisis that is going to be used by the controllers as an excuse to clamp down.
Well, you actually said it yourself. The goal of the New World Order is a one world government, a one world economy, a one world society, and a one world religion controlled under one single ruler. I mean, you pretty much summed it up into one. And I think that's, we don't want to head to that state, of course, but I mean, it seems like we are going to that. And there's only, who knows what's going to happen in the future, and hopefully we don't head down that road. But, as far as what's happening right now, it seems like we are falling into that category.
Well, we are, and the only way to do it is to get rid of central banks. And that is extremely hard to do because the central banks are backed by armies. And those armies love to create problems, then control the reaction, and then offer the solution. For example, the problem of 9/11, in my opinion, was created, and then we were told that it was a product of Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein, and then we were all behind the war on terror. Well, 10 years later, how far have we gotten in the war on terror? Nowhere. I'll tell you where we've gotten. We've gotten $4 trillion in debt, more than we were on September 10th. No, you can't. How can you win a war that has no territory and no clearly defined enemy? This is impossible. There are hundreds of other people who have been brainwashed into being tools for the Illuminati philosophy and who have, by one way or another, escaped from that situation and are spilling the beans, and their stories are almost identical. And one victim of this evil philosophy is by the name of Kathy O'Brien. Now, she wrote a book called The Transformation of America, as in trance, as in hypnosis. And, she starts talking about mind control and hypnosis and being used as a courier of information from one party within the New World Order to another. Because the best way to convey information is to never write it down, just literally put it into somebody's mind and then have them regurgitate that to somebody else. And in case people are rolling their eyes out there in your audience tonight saying, oh, mind control, this isn't possible, just keep in mind what happens when you are a member of the infantry in any army. You are literally dissociated from your family and friends. You are shaved. You are clothed identically. You are yelled at. You are overworked, underfed, and you are literally broken down into a childlike form and then built up into the individual that the Army wants you to be, which is exactly why it's called the infantry in the first place.
What can you tell me about the CFR?
The Council on Foreign Relations was the brainchild of the Rockefellers, which are the Rothschilds of America, who became wealthy under the discovery of oil. And the CFR dictates policy in America. And in my movie on the internet, which you can watch for free, I got a clip of Hillary Clinton at the CFR, and she's talking about, oh, now we don't have to go so far to be told what to do and how we should be thinking about the future. Now, for an egomaniac like Hillary Clinton to say, now we can be told what to do so much faster and easier, says a lot.
Well, you speaking about Hillary Clinton actually brought up a question for me. You know, we have the pipeline that's actually supposed to be built in Canada, as a matter of fact, and Obama and Hillary actually opposed that. And why do you think they did oppose that? And you think there's something going on there besides of what it is? Absolutely.
This is all part of the intentional deindustrialization of the West in favor of the industrialization of China. Now, you can say what you want about oil and coal and how they're environmentally harmful, and they are. But while we're debating this, China has no problem building 2 or 3 coal-fired or oil-powered factories or generators per week. Now, we have to have a major fight about, having a pipeline, once every couple of years. And China's building their infrastructure 10, 15 times faster than we are. And China doesn't have to abide by half the environmental regulations that we do. And this is all intentional. This is about neo-feudalism. This is about literally not being able to afford any land or any food unless you work for it and the elite give it to you.
This is some very scary stuff. It makes a lot of sense. I believe in it. The way the country's going. I mean, the United States is a great place to live, but the way I see it now, it's like we're not creating anything. And when there's an opportunity to create something, it gets shot down. Like, it doesn't matter anything in the United States, and everybody works hard for their money, but yet they get nowhere no more at this day and age.
This pipeline would have created 20,000 jobs. And, I mean...
That's what I didn't get. That was like political suicide for Obama.
Leonard, doesn't he wear that ring as well? And didn't he actually go to that, what was that, Mike, the Bilderberg?
Yes, he did. I'm going to say a statement which I think your audience is going to be challenged with, but I want you to think about it. Bush is Obama, and Obama is Bush.
Well, you know why, right? Because they're both politicians.
Yes, that's true. But really, when you sit back and you think about it, you were sold Barack Obama as the exact opposite of Bush. And what has happened now 4 years later? Nothing. Nothing has changed. The only thing that America produces now, and this is not a bash on America, I love America. I think it's the greatest country on earth, and this is coming from a Canadian. The only thing that the United States has been forced to produce now is war and debt. It does that extremely well.
I mean, yeah, that's all I see. Leonard, we are running out of time here, and we would love you to come back for part 2 on this because it's a fascinating topic. And I know a lot of listeners out there would like to hear more, so we offer you and extend you the invitation to come back if you're willing for next week.
I absolutely am.
For next week,
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's called New World Order, Secret Societies, and Biblical Prophecy. It is a 2.5-hour movie that usually takes people 4 hours to watch because a lot of information is compressed into that movie. I encourage people to pause the movie and read the documents that I have on the screen. I don't like conspiracy theory. I like conspiracy facts.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Are you working on any other projects besides the one you're doing right now?
Yes, the movie that's on YouTube, which I just described, has 250,000 views already in the first 10 months. I thought it would never get over 10,000. Boy, was I wrong. And I'm currently working on volumes 2 and 3, and you'll get introduced to that when you watch volume 1.
Once again, Leonard, thank you for being on the program. It's always great, Lindsay, hearing him. And we are going to have him back, like I said, next week. And we're going to dive in more into, like, wars itself. I talked to him on the phone earlier, and he's on Canadian time, so he has stuff to do. But we will, get back to him because it's fascinating. I've talked to him in the past, and we were longtime friends. And it's just the way he puts things together, since him being a teacher himself, is great.
Well, he's an amazing individual who has so much knowledge, and, he really works to, explain to people what's really going on in the world. And, I applaud him for that. Yeah, he's not complicated in the way he talks, but it's just great every time I have him on. But yeah, again, I promise we'll hear from him next week. Friday, we have a good show on Friday because we have, again, another longtime paranormal researcher and director of his long featured documentary, which is called The Hidden Hand, Alien Contact, and the Government Cover-Up. And we're going to go into about people being abducted and, the government trying to hide stuff, because that's been going on. There's a lot of stories of people who come out with stories of being in this place, and yet government tries to block their testimony some way or make them sound like they need to be on medication. So I look forward to that. And also in the coming week, we also have returning back Stanton Freeman. And we're going to talk about what he's very much well known for, and that's the Roswell incident. Last time we talked about just extraterrestrials in general way back, but I really want to talk about what, looking through his eyes, since he was the first investigator in the case, 47? That would be amazing. Well, I'd like to ask him if there's any other secrets that he wants to spill, or if he's already divulged everything about Roswell. Well, I'm pretty sure he has talked a lot. Today he is in New Mexico. Just talked to him briefly today, and he is doing a conference, and hopefully get him back. But Friday he will be on the 25th. He'll be in Massachusetts doing a book signing, I believe. But look forward to that show as well, and have other surprises coming up for you. And Halloween show is yet to be determined, but I'm sure we'll put together a nice package for you. Oh, absolutely. I can't wait what we're going to have for Halloween. And I know that our listeners can't wait either, because it's Halloween, what we're known for. Yes, I don't think I'm dressing up this year. After suffering a traumatic toothache for the last week and a half and finally recovering, I think I just better be safe and just be myself, because I'm very good at it. So that concludes our show. Thanks again, Leonard. We will see him back here sometime next week, as promised. And remember, Friday, 2 days from now, we're going to have director of the film The Hidden Hand, Alien Contact, and the Government Cover-Up behind it, James Carman, will be on the program joining us, and we look very forward to that. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and the following Thursday, and see you right back here on the Paranormal Beyond Friday. Goodbye, everybody.
Your ticket to the unknown is at KnightsParanormalResearchSociety.com. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, hauntings, mysterious places, and more can be found at KnightsParanormalResearchSociety.com. Knights with a K, ParanormalResearchSociety.com. Based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, Knights Paranormal Research Society is owned and operated by the renowned brother and sister team of Michael and Lindsay Knight. Seeing is believing. and at NightsParanormalResearchSociety.com. You're going to believe.
How you see the world today might change in just a few minutes.
A new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
There's a need for a new world order.
Realizes what I believe is our destiny of success in this new world order.
A new international order, free of the bipolar rivalry of earlier days.
We needed a new world order.
Broadcasting live from the dark and cold dungeons deep beneath the KLAV studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. Prepare yourselves to be taken away into another dimension as we now have control over your thoughts, fears, and perspective of the unexplained world you dare not speak of. With your hosts, Lindsay Knight and Michael Knight. Ladies and gentlemen, we now open the gates to the paranormal and beyond. Paranormal and beyond. And it's your show. Call us at 731-1230. Here again, Michael Knight and Lindsay Knight.
Welcome back to another brand new and mind-blowing edition of the Paranormal Beyond. But first, be sure to check us out at NightsParanormalResearchSociety.com, where you can log on and catch up to all the past shows by simply logging on. Once again, that's NightsParanormalResearchSociety.com. Get started in acting by logging on to, once again, HollywoodBoundActingAcademy.com. The best in Las Vegas to kickstart your acting career. Once again, that's HollywoodBoundActingAcademy.com. Special shout out to all those listening online through the KLAV1230am.com website, and all those driving around in the Vegas Valley listening to us on your stereos. Thank you very much. All right, we got a great show for you today because once again, our good friend is back and he's going to be talking about the New World Order, biblical prophecies, and the Illuminati. But first, let's get into the news.
Topping the news once again, my name is Lindsay, and I am here bringing you all the strange and bizarre news going on around the globe. A Colorado cleaning crew ran across a macabre discovery when they found an occult.
Broadcasting live from the KLAV studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, this is the Paranormal and Beyond. The term New World Order, or the NWO, refers to the emergence of a totalitarian one-world government with the sole agenda of controlling the world and everything in it by an extremely powerful, influential group of individuals of the highest echelons, which include many of the world's wealthiest people, top political leaders, and corporate elites, as well as members of the so-called black nobility dominated by the British Crown, whose goal is nothing more than to create a one-world fascist government. Whether you choose to believe that such a secretive power exists, the chokehold upon our freedom is visibly clear today within our society. In a moment, producer of the film NWO, Secret Societies and Biblical Prophecy, Leonard Ulrich is back again with us on the program to take us through the deception regarding the elusive Illuminati. And that's all right here when we return on the Talk of Las Vegas, KLAV 1230 AM.
Your ticket to the unknown is at NightsParanormalResearchSociety.com. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, hauntings, mysterious places, and more can be found at Knights Paranormal Research Society.com. Knights with a K, Paranormal Research Society.com. Based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, Knights Paranormal Research Society is owned and operated by the renowned brother and sister team of Michael and Lindsay Knight. Seeing is believing. And at Knights Paranormal Research Society.com, you're going to believe. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight, for the Paranormal and Beyond. Join host Michael Knight and Lindsay Knight as they investigate the unexplained and most controversial mysteries of the world. The Paranormal and Beyond, where the paranormal lives on and conspiracies exposed. The Paranormal and Beyond, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight. Brought to you by Knights Paranormal Research Society.com. This is the
cult altar with a skull, mask with a black hood, candles, and a machete, along with skulls, chains, bones from a goat and other animals. The most gruesome of the discoveries were what is to believe to be human bones, including a partial skull. Up to 20 bones are being investigated for DNA to confirm. According to a report by Westward, neighbors describe the woman who lived there as a Christian, and the items in the shed are suspected of having belonged to her now deceased husband, who reportedly left the country in 1998. For the last 15 years, his wife apparently either hadn't known the items were there or left them there completely alone, because when they were discovered, most were covered in thick dust. The two split up over a decade ago, and the altar wasn't discovered until a realtor commissioned a cleaning crew so that the house could be put up for sale. In other news, meet Boomer the dog, a canine stuck in a human body. Roll over and shake paws with Boomer the dog, a man with a canine soul who often roams the streets of Pittsburgh in a large dog costume, barking at every passing car and digging holes in the backyard. Boomer takes his persona very seriously and wishes everyone would treat him like a real dog. Born Gary Matthews, Boomer is now a 50-something unemployed computer technician who lives by himself. He wears ears made from his long hair and a collar with a dog tag with his adopted name, Boomer the dog. He rarely dresses as a human, as he loves wearing his full-size paper dog costume and getting on all fours. He eats dog food with his snout from a special bowl on the floor, barks, chases cars, and digs for bones in the backyard like any other canine would. The guy even sleeps in his own